Hey there, interwebs. You're watching How Fascinating, but I'm going to start this episode off by referring to a different series of mine, Russell's Guide to Monsters. In it, we have established that the original sirens of Greek myth were actually people with bird feet and ex Africa semper aliquid novi. There's always something new coming out of Africa. That brings me to the Vadoma tribe of Zimbabwe, colloquially known as the ostrich people. How did they get that name, you may wonder? In a word, ectrodactyly. This is what their feet look like, and these are ostrich feet. Because I loathe to be misleading for too long, let me clarify right away that not every Vadoma has this condition. Most of them actually have quite pedestrian feet, pun obviously intended, and only about 1 in 4 Vadoma children are affected. Still, that is quite a significant minority when one understands that ectrodactyly only affects roughly 1 in 90,000 people worldwide, give or take a few thousand. In nature, when otherwise rare and specific phenotypes such as this begin to assert themselves in a population, it's often a result of natural selection favoring a physical trait which grants some sort of advantage in the organism's environment. So what advantage does this didactyly confer? According to some, it allows them to climb trees slightly faster, which is an asset for their hunter-gatherer lifestyle. In fact, they are the nation's only remaining non-agricultural society. Also, your word of the day is didactyl. Of course, in the game of life, you can't get something for nothing, and everything is a trade-off. In exchange for being able to climb trees faster, the two-toed tribe members may have more difficulty walking. I say may because my various sources disagree on that point. Unfortunately, reliable sources about this highly insular and secluded tribe were difficult for me to find, but I shall endeavor to do my best with what I've got, and, as always, grain of salt, dear viewer. Some sources say that the didactyly isn't a handicap at all, but others claim that it makes walking difficult and running is rendered nearly impossible. I'm certain that it means they can never find shoes that fit, but at least there doesn't seem to be any social stigma from within the tribe against those members who are affected, which is a nice change of pace for people with limb differences. Pun not intended that time. All of this talk of evolutionary advantages and handicaps, however, is entirely academic. The real reason for the tribe's pedal peculiarity is man-made, and therefore a case of artificial selection. One of their tribal laws forbids members from marrying outside of the tribe, enforcing strict endogamy. Your other word of the day is endogamy. This restriction, combined with a relatively small gene pool to start with, has yielded minimal genetic variation within the community. Since this particular form of ectrodactyly is a dominant condition resulting from a single mutation on chromosome number 7, the Vadoma's artificial restriction on gene mixing has given it the perfect environment in which to flourish. Hence, you get people with feet where the middle 3 toes are missing, and the outer 2 point inwards. In population genetics, this is known as the founder effect. It's why a significant portion of the Pennsylvania Dutch have postaxial polydactyly, another dominant although rare trait, and why white supremacists concerned with racial purity are completely full of shit. As a matter of fact, the Innsmouth look is far more likely to result from the excessive inbreeding of a small insular New England community than from interracial marriage with a population from the other side of the world. I suppose, however, that alien horrors from the depths of the ocean or beyond the stars are a different matter. Speaking of having sex with an interstellar species, and dear gods is that a concerning segue, guess where the Vadoma elders say their ancestors came from? In fairness, it actually depends on whom you ask. According to one origin myth, their ancestors emerged from the baobab tree, but in others their ancestors are avian aliens from the star system of Sirius. Apparently, these bird-like extraterrestrials first established colonies on a planet within our solar system called Liitolafisi, then immigrated to Earth and mixed their DNA with Earth women to produce hybrid offspring. Fascinating, I know, but don't worry, it gets weirder. As I've well established at this point, a notable percentage of the Vadoma people are didactyl, and they allegedly have avian ancestors. The only living didactyl birds are ostriches, which is why the Vadoma are also known as the ostrich people, and ostriches seem to have unusual sexual preferences. According to research conducted by the ecologist Dr. Charles Paxton of St. Andrews University, farm-raised ostriches seem to prefer humans to members of their own species when it comes to romantic partners. This strange phenomenon was first brought to his attention during the ostrich farming boom of the 1990s, when farmers were puzzled by a lack of egg-laying despite the obvious arousal of their stock. In his own words, the farmers couldn't understand why every time they went to check on their ostriches, they saw them engaging in courtship behavior. What we found was that these animals were mostly displaying courtship behavior directed at the farmers. When human beings weren't around, their level of sexual behavior went right down. He hypothesized that the birds were sexually confused due to being raised by humans from birth. A male which was raised at a zoo among other ostriches mated successfully with females of his own species. Dr. Paxton's findings were published in the journal British Poultry Science, and this research won him the Ig Nobel Award for Biology in 2002. If that name sounds familiar, remember that it was previously mentioned on this series because the 2019 Ig Nobel Award for Physics went to Patricia Yang for her research on wombats' cubic feces. In brief, approximately 1 in 4 members of the Vadoma tribe are didactyl, like ostriches. Some claim that their ancestors were a race of interstellar bird people which crossbred with early humans, and ostriches have been observed getting amorous for their human keepers. Unfortunately, the genetic evidence indicates that their eponymous medical condition is a result not of crossbreeding, but of inbreeding, so the Vadoma are highly unlikely to be the descendants of alien ostrich fuckers. On a slightly less depressing note, if you happen to like tales of bird people from beyond the stars, then I'm pleased to announce that some make an appearance in my debut sci-fi novel. It's not out yet, but believe me, I will let you know as soon as I have a release date. Until then, thanks for watching, and have a fascinating day.